Bienvenidos. I am Mickey Ibarra, founder and chairman of the Latino Leaders Network. Thank you for helping us start on time, because we're going to end on time, respecting everybody's time. How about that? On behalf of the Board of Directors, it is my pleasure to welcome you to start the celebration, a year-long celebration of the 20th anniversary of the Latino Leaders Network, bringing leaders together. Since 2004, the Tribute to Mayors has convened during the winter and summer meetings of the United States Conference of Mayors to honor mayors who are bringing their communities together, to include us, the Latino community. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles, who will Mayor Bass will receive the Antonio Villaraigosa Leadership Award. And Antonio is with us once again. Antonio, please. Over 50 mayors, nearly 60 mayors, registered for this event. And we'd like to have all of our mayors in the room. I'm looking right at Kate Gallego. All of the mayors in the room to please stand up and receive our thanks for your outstanding leadership. Leticia Vandepute of San Antonio, a former Texas state legislator for over 2 decades, a recipient of our Eagle Leadership Award in 2006 here in Washington, D.C., member now of the Latino Leaders Network Board of Directors, and a survivor of a 2022 near-death experience, has agreed to offer our invocation to start us on the right foot. Leticia.
Thank you, Mickey, and thank all of you for being here. You know, over 2 years ago, when you're faced with a very serious accident, you get really close to God. And maybe that brought out the spiritual sense, but I hope that the words that I share today, please know that they come from my heart, but from an experience. And for those of you who have had those health challenges or who've lost someone that you love dearly after the challenges, tonight is especially, these comments are for you. Good and gracious God, we place ourselves, the Latino Leaders Network, in your presence as we celebrate the achievement of these mayors, amazing local officials, our state officials, and national leaders. As we gather together tonight, we are mindful of the words of a wise leader, Solomon, in Proverbs. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in your power to act. Do not say to your neighbor, come back tomorrow and I'll give it to you, when you already have it with you. Lord, as elected and appointed officials, let our ardent desire to serve the public good be our mutual command. Help us with the profound responsibility to do whatever we can to provide our neighbor needs and what they need to flourish socially and economically. Lord, we ask for your divine guidance for these leaders so that their lives can be woven with the lives of their constituents, to create a fabric not just of mere threads next to other threads, but truly intertwined and powerfully joined. Tonight we remember First Lady Rosalynn Carter, who can describe the people in this room excellently. When the First Lady said, "A leader takes people where they want to go, but a great leader takes people where they don't want to go, but ought to be." Help those in this room and those who cannot be with us tonight to embrace the challenge and responsibility of their positions. Guide them to lead with integrity and common sense. Give them wisdom to make smart decisions. Give them courage to make tough decisions. Give them character to make the right decisions. Finally, help all of us to understand the words of Cesar Chavez so that we can be open in our hearts and minds to the vast differences and diversity of thought. Cesar said, "Preservation of one's own culture does not require contempt or disregard for other cultures." And with Cesar in mind, we ask you to bless this food and bless the hands that prepared it and those who will serve us this evening. Lord, we thank you for your love and grace and mercy that rise with each sunrise. Please protect us as we return to our loving families and our beloved communities across this nation. And the people said, Amen.
Please join me in thanking the Mayflower event manager, Michaela Nunez Rodriguez, the servers, and all those on the Mayflower team for their excellent service. Thank you. Some acknowledgements. There are 3 members of the board of directors. You just met one, Leticia Vandepute of San Antonio. There are 2 others I'd like to acknowledge. Ruben Alvarez of Phoenix. Ruben, right here. And also Rudy Becerra of Atlanta. Rudy. Two announcements as we kick off this 20th anniversary. The Latino Leaders Network directors will meet next week for our annual meeting. Pending their approval, I am pleased to share that our current treasurer, Ruben Alvarez, has been nominated to become our first CEO starting next month. And no, I'm not retiring. I will remain chair of the board, assist Ruben in every way that I can through fundraising and to continue to host these events. Ruben's selection strengthens the leadership team and increases our capacity to continue bringing leaders together into our 3rd decade. A second announcement. Christina Antello, founder and CEO of Ferex Strategies in Washington, D.C., has been nominated for election to the Latino Leaders Network Board of Directors. And I like her chances next week. This will provide us additional presence in our nation's capital and really have the advantage of having some terrific talent and leadership to build our organization. Please join me in thanking both Ruben and Christina. Next, we welcome all the past honorees of the Latino Leaders Network. Please see their names displayed on the monitors on my left and right. I would like each to stand to be congratulated once again. Our past honorees. That would be like Manny Diaz. On your feet, please. Thank you. We are joined by several elected officials. You know, Congress normally is not in session this week. They're not in session during the week of Martin Luther King's birthday and the holiday that we celebrated on Monday. So it is very unusual for us to have the opportunity to have members of Congress, both Senate and House, join us. So we're grateful for this opportunity. I've seen several of them earlier. We've been joined by Representative Nanette Barragan. Nanette, thank you. Nanette will be on our program in just a bit. Also was delighted to see Representative Joaquin Castro with us. Joaquin. Chuy Garcia out of Chicago is here. And his colleague and our friend from Chicago, we have Delia Ramirez as well. Glad to see former Phoenix Mayor and now Representative Greg Stanton with us. Our dear friend, Representative Tony Cardenas of California. And I did see Representative Marilyn Strickland of Washington here earlier also, yes. Thank you to Janet Murguia, President and CEO of Unidos US, who's with us tonight. Also, someone that's been around a while, but now in a new important role. And that is Juan Proaño, the new CEO of LULAC. Juan? And we could spend the rest of our time, because all of you deserve to be recognized. And I hope you feel recognized by being invited here, because by definition, you are leaders. And we have some special guests that are on the big screens as well. So please join me in thanking our special guests for being here too. I mentioned we have members of Congress. Well, we've just been joined by another member. We're delighted to have with us Senator Alex Padilla. And we'll hear from Alex in the program. Three additional guests I want to mention. You know, so much in the news internationally, and regrettably, so much of it's so sad. We have three ambassadors with us today, and I want to acknowledge them. First, Ambassador Batbayar, the ambassador of Mongolia to the United States and to Mexico. Ambassador. And secondly, so delighted to be joined by His Excellency, Esteban Moctezuma of Mexico, ambassador to the United States. And a past honoree of the Latino Leaders Network twice, Eagle Leadership Award, as a United States Senator, Eagle Leadership Award as Secretary of the Interior. When we first met, the Attorney General of the state of Colorado, and now our United States Ambassador to Mexico, Ken Salazar. Now, Ken and his able special assistant Zeppa arrived late this afternoon from Mexico, and I'm sure you agree, Ken's not in your program, but we're going to change that. We're going to give Ken an opportunity to deliver some remarks. Ambassador.
Que viva Mickey Ibarra and the Latino Leaders Network. So let me just say, walking in this evening and seeing so many of you, everywhere I look, I could say, que viva la relación Estados Unidos y México. In Tucson, Mayor Regina, thank you so much, and Karen Bass, and God, San Antonio, Nuremberg, donde quiera. So let me just say, it is an honor and a privilege for me to be here. You know, when President Biden asked me to take on this position of Ambassador of the United States to Mexico, he and I committed that we would do everything to transform the relationship of the United States and Mexico for the positive, on economics, on security, on migration, and importantly, the binational narrative that binds the United States and Mexico together forever. And we are well on our way to doing that. So notwithstanding the difficult challenges and issues that we face every day, some of which I spent time with Senator Padilla and others talking about late at night on the phone, the reality of it is I am more optimistic than ever about our relationship. The United States and Mexico today are the number one trading partners in the world. That is something to be very proud of. It's something that Mayor Kay Gallego, Regina, the rest of you know about the integration of supply chains. So as we look forward to the next decade, to the next century ahead, the integration of North America as one family is what we are seeing through economics. We're also seeing it through the DNA of our communities. When you have people who are in Mexico and you recognize that you have 130 million Mexicanos, we have 70 million Latinos in the United States, over 40 million Mexican Americans in the United States, you know that our destinies are tied together. The democracy of the democracies of the world, the economic integration where everybody has an opportunity and nobody is left out, where we can do things that today seem very difficult, like creating a most modern and secure and efficient border, where we can tackle issues like climate change and seize the opportunities of clean and renewable energy, where we can show the rest of the world that the greatness of the Americas is really tied together with all of the Americas, not just a part of the Americas. That's what really is at stake. And for me, someone asked me earlier tonight about my different jobs that I've had in my career. And I said, this is perhaps the most difficult one, but also the most consequential and the most fun one. And tonight I can tell you that I'm more optimistic than ever about the relationship that we all have. You know, we will be in, I get the honor of hosting many of you in Mexico. I get the honor of speaking to many of you often, like my good friend Tom Perez, about some of the issues that we're facing. But I am more optimistic 2.5 years into this job than I was even when I started. And you can look back in our own history and the journeys that we've walked together. But my good friend Esteban Montezuma and I, who I spent a lot of time with, I was reflecting that in my time as a young man in college, working with and being the president of MECHA, Movimiento Estudiantil Chicano de Aztlán, back in the day, that I thought all Mexican Americans were in the Southwest, California, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, a few in Colorado. And today I can tell you, because Esteban tells me about what they're doing in the consulates, is there are 53 Mexican consulates in the United States, even in Alaska, all over the place. So just that story in itself just tells you about the integration that we are seeing in front of our very eyes. So I'll just say very quickly, Mickey, thank you so much for your leadership of Latino Leaders Network. Thank you so much for bringing everybody together here and in Los Angeles, where Antonio and Mayor Bass were honored just a year ago. Thank you for lifting us all up. We are all in this journey together. We all strive for the same thing, and that's the equality and dignity and respect of all people, no matter where you come from. And that's what the Latino Leaders Network really stands for. I remember back in 1999 coming to Washington, D.C. for the first time from a place very few people knew in the southern part of Colorado, and being welcomed by Mickey Ibarra to the White House. He was then, as Tom and others who know so well, the second floor of the White House, Intergovernmental Affairs. And he was there showing me what the White House was all about. So I stood on his shoulders. He's been a giant in my life. And so many of you who are here, the members of Congress, the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, the mayors in all of the states of this country, I love you all. And I just say this, when you get to events like this, you just gotta say, our best days are still ahead. And one needs to, without going a lot of history, you gotta think about where we were in the 1960s, where we had a Congressional Hispanic Caucus, Nanette, that had hardly, you could count them on the fingers of one hand. And today, I think you are at about 40 members of the U.S. House of Representatives who have the background that all of you share here in this room. And the same thing can be said about mayors, whether it's Phoenix, whether it's Tucson, whether it's all the other mayors who are represented here tonight, that you recognize a fundamental reality, and that is that our diversity really is our strength. And when we lead from the point of view where everybody is included, and we think about the inclusive America that we are creating and that we are fighting for, because it's still very much a fight. But when we create that inclusive America, we will be the strongest democracy, the most prosperous economy in the world, and we will create the opportunity for everybody to live up to their God-given potential, no matter what their background is. Muchísimas gracias, si se puede. Thank you so much.
I'm going to come to Mexico. If you haven't been to the residence of the United States Ambassador to Mexico, get on his dance card. It's a wonderful experience and a terrific host. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Mayor Regina Romero of Tucson, Chair of the U.S. Conference of Mayors Latino Alliance. Mayor Romero was elected to her second term last November. She received the Antonio Villaraigosa Leadership Award in 2021. As the youngest of 6 children, born to immigrant farm worker parents, she was the first to graduate from college, the first Latina on the Tucson City Council, and the first Latina mayor of Tucson. Please welcome the leader of the 33rd largest city in America, 500,000 strong, Mayor Regina Romero. For the U.S. Conference of Mayors Latino Alliance. Okay.
Ambassador, that's a really hard act to follow. Muy buenas noches, ¿cómo están todos? My name is Regina Romero. I am the proud daughter of immigrant farm working parents, Jose Romero Noriega and Josefina Arvizu Durazo. I learned to introduce my parents from the Tohono O'odham people, the people that have stewarded the land of the Sonoran Desert in Arizona, in Tucson, Arizona, or as they named it, Tucson, Arizona. I'd like to thank the Latino Leaders Network and my dear friend, Miki Ibarra, for your service in gathering all of us tonight. You make this happen, Miki, and your board and everyone that works here and everyone present. It really is a time for us to share ideas, to share time, and to celebrate Latino leaders throughout the country. So I want to thank you, Miki, and the Latino Leaders Network for bringing us together. I also want to thank, as the good daughter of immigrant farm-working parents, the people who picked the food that we are about to eat, the servers, the chef, the people that made this food, and the hands that prepared this food, and the servers that will serve us so that we can enjoy a beautiful evening. Muchísimas gracias a los trabajadores que nos están ayudando esta noche. Gracias por todo lo que hacen. I'd like to acknowledge that we stand on the ancestral lands of the Nacotchak and the Piscataway people. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. It's an honor for me to share the stage with Miki and with Ambassador Salazar and all of those that are going to speak after me. I want to especially honor Mayor Karen Bass, the mayor of our beautiful city of Los Angeles, California. Congratulations. It is a well-deserved recognition because I'll tell you, you came in gangbusters with your vision and with you pushing the policy that have served the people of Los Angeles, and so congratulations, well-deserved recognition. She has served in the spirit of the namesake of this award, my friend, Antonio Villarraigosa. Really, Antonio, you have opened doors to people like myself, this young Chicanita from Tucson, Arizona, to really dream about serving as mayor of our city. And so the first Latino mayor that I remember seeing and that inspired me to serve, besides my parents and Cesar Chavez, thank you, is Antonio Villarraigosa. So a wonderful recognition. Mayor Baz, what you've come in doing for the people of Los Angeles in terms of finding solutions for unsheltered homelessness, working with other jurisdictions, working with your knowledge of serving in Congress, and being able to bring in our federal partners in really recognizing that a societal issue as big as unsheltered homelessness is something that not only mayors should solve, but every layer of government and every jurisdiction should care about and invest money in. And so the work that you're doing there is incredible. Thank you so much. You know, mayors around the country are tackling society's most pressing issues, from combating climate change to increasing access to affordable housing, to addressing the challenges of immigration and global migration. We are the front line of government, and we have to balance our budgets. People in our cities rely on us as mayors to find solutions to pressing issues, but also cover their potholes and pick up their trash. And so when I'm out and about, and I'm sure it happens to all my fellow mayors, you are walking with your family or just grocery shopping, and people usually start by, "You're the mayor, thank you for what you do, and can I tell you about my issue?" And so we're always on. We know that mayors are the closest to the people and closest to the challenges. But I'll tell you, as the first Latina mayor and first woman mayor ever elected in the history of the city of Tucson. And in my previous work, thank you. In my previous 12 years of service as a council member in my city, being a mayor, and Mayor Bass, you know this, you've served as both a representative and a mayor. Being a mayor is incredibly challenging, but so satisfying because you really see your work right there in front of you. I serve as the chair of the Latino Alliance of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and my partnership with the Latino Leaders Network is deep and hopefully will continue to deepen that partnership as the years come. I'd like to invite all mayors to really follow the work that I am trying to do with the Latino Alliance and the partnerships I'm trying to forge. I always say that Latino Alliance is for all of us. Mayors with large Latino populations, mayors who are Latino or Latinx themselves, even mayors who are Latino curious. You're all invited to join the Latino Alliance. I'm committed to helping elevate the voices of Latinos across our country and to uplift the Latino Alliance at the U.S. Conference of Mayors in partnership with the Latino Leaders Network. We heard today in our first convening after COVID-19, we heard from Tom Perez that you will hear from later tonight, Secretary Javier Becerra, Acting Secretary Julie Su, and Director Jorge Samanillo of the Smithsonian Museum of the American Latino. This really is something for everyone, so I invite you to participate. As we all know, Latinos are the fastest growing population across the United States, and we are not a monolith. Even so, there's much that we can share and learn from each other, and that together we can really be a powerful voice for policy making in our community. The Latino Alliance of the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the Latino Leaders Network are so important to us in highlighting the important role of Latinos and what Latinos hold, the power of the voices of Latinos in this country. So thank you again, Miki, for giving me the stage. Congratulations once again, Mayor Bass. Muchísimas felicidades. Enjoy your evening y muchas gracias. Muy buenas noches.
Thank you, Mayor Romero. And now, a word from our sponsors. You know, as mayors appreciate, I think, more than most, so many good things are made possible due to the generosity of good corporate partners, and the Latino Leaders Network is no exception. We are grateful for the support of our premier sponsor, Walmart. First, thanks to Amy Hill for agreeing to provide premier sponsorship at this event, and we'll also again provide that sponsorship at our next tribute to mayors, which will be in Kansas City, Missouri, during the summer meeting of the Conference of Mayors, and that'll be on June 21st. Delivering sponsor remarks for Walmart, and I'm going to ask everybody this is a very unique event for lots of reasons. And that's because we respect each other as well. This isn't the Democratic National Convention. And the Republican Convention, for that matter. And Tom knows what I mean, as well as Antonio. So please, we have one sponsor speaking. That is Walmart. our premier sponsor, our friend, Javier Angulo.
Oh gosh, it's always so wonderful to be here. It's always amongst family and friends, and always with my heroes and sheroes, the people that really have made a difference in my life. Heroes like Senator Alex Padilla, who I've known for 20 years since he was working in the state legislature and also in the city council. Heroes like Tony Cardenas, who is also here. He's a fellow Gaucho as well. We went to the same university, him a little bit later than I did, but he's been a big inspiration. And of course, Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, who appointed me not once, but twice in the commission of the city of Los Angeles. Thank you so very much. And now my mayor, Mayor Karen Bass, so good to see you here. My mayor, thank you so very much. You know, this event always serves as a powerful reminder of the tremendous impact that the mayors make in our communities. It is you, the mayors, who truly make things happen, bridging divides and tirelessly working to enhance the lives of the people you serve. In a time where finding common ground may seem increasingly challenging, mayors understand the crucial significance of reaching out and fostering coalitions. Mayors don't have the luxury of wasting time in fruitless arguments, especially considering the rapidly changing world around us. Change, when embraced appropriately, can be immensely beneficial. I am proud to be associated with a company that not only embraces change, but also consistently strives to reinvent itself to meet the evolving needs of our customers. Walmart is at the forefront of change and technology. Just for example, last week, Walmart and our CEO, Doug McMillon, was invited to be the keynote speaker at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. This is where the brightest minds in technology meet every single year. And we were invited because of our leading technology in drones, our leading technology in AI, and technology that is going to be very crucial for the future of consumers and our customers and the world. So what does all this mean for the Latino community? It means that we must work even harder and smarter to stay up to speed with the rapidly changing technology. Education and workforce development will be crucial in ensuring that the next generation of Latinos can fully participate in the opportunities presented by these advancements. As the largest employer of Latinos in America, we have this great responsibility to ensure that the next generation have the tools and the resources to succeed in their careers. And we hope all the mayors and all of you join us in that effort. Thank you so very much. Mickey, it's wonderful to be here again. Gracias.
I love Walmart. Two additional elected officials that I'd like to acknowledge that have joined us. We're so proud to have Texas State Senator Carol Alvarado of Houston with us. Carol. And Maryland State Delegate Ashanti Martinez of Prince George's County. Prior to dinner, just across the way in the East Room, we enjoyed the network reception courtesy of Southern California Gas. Thank you, Andy Carrasco. And also to Mitch Mitchell. Another network reception sponsor, First SOS Staffing, Peter Mendez. Peter, thank you. Stand up, Peter. I want everybody to see the best dressed man in the room, right here. Always, thank you. And then, delighted with a third network reception sponsor, Hudson and HMS Host by Avolta, and we're so pleased that the CEO, Steve Johnson, has been able to join us. Steve, thank you. Stand up, Steve. We want everybody to know who you are. And by the way, have you looked in your bags yet? Have you looked in your little swag bags, they call it? Well, that speaker in there, not the speaker, but the charger in there, that's our hosts, HMS hosts, as well as Hudson, our sponsors. So thank you. A big thank you to Southwest Airlines, the official airline of the Latino Leaders Network. Southwest, thank you. And then we have a host of VIP sponsors. You'll see their logos on the big screen. Bank of America, Barnes & Thornburg, CVS Health, HDR, Starbucks, USC. So proud to have USC with us. Thank you. That's a first. And also Target, Atlas Strategy, Eisner Amper, and Hamilton Clark. Thanks to all of our sponsors. I mentioned the unique opportunity we have tonight to be joined by members of Congress. Representing the Congressional Hispanic Caucus for remarks is the chair of the CHC, Representative Nanette Barragan, former mayor of Hermosa Beach, California. Please welcome the first Latina to represent the 44th Congressional District, the Honorable Nanette Barragan.
Well, thank you, Chairman Mickey Ibarra. Buenas noches and good evening. I'm U.S. Representative Nanette Barragan, chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. The caucus is the largest in history, with 42 members strong. On behalf of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, greetings and welcome to tonight's Tribute to Mayors, which is in its, 20th year now? A testament to the work of Mickey Ibarra and all at the Latino Leaders Network. Let's give you all and Mickey Ibarra a round of applause. The Hispanic Caucus continues its focus on legislative work to include priority for working families and diverse communities, including the Latino community. Some of those priorities include things like making sure that we're getting our priorities in the Farm Bill, increasing student loan forgiveness, fair representation in media and film, comprehensive immigration reform, and of course, representation at the table, whether it's in the corporate boardroom, in media and film, or on a school board, city councils, of course, mayors, and Congress, and all, because we know that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. As chair of the Hispanic Caucus, I spent the last year taking the Hispanic Caucus on the road. We partnered up with the Biden-Harris administration to engage Latinos across the country to talk about some of what we've helped deliver through the work in Congress. Things like investments in mental health in schools through the Safer Communities Act, to the job creation with the Jobs Act, cleaner ports and air through investments in the Inflation Reduction Act, or the largest expansion of veterans' health care benefits ever with the PACT Act. All of these have impacts not just in our Latino communities, but all communities of color. That's why we've also joined forces with the Black Caucus and the Asian American Caucus, because we know that together the Tri-Caucus is stronger than ever and can wield the power in Congress if we partner up together. And the Tri-Caucus also joined forces on the road. We traveled to Las Vegas, Nevada, to highlight investments in housing and the need to continue our work in that space, because we know the issue of affordable housing and the unhoused impacts our diverse communities. We could have easily had done that event in Los Angeles with tonight's honoree, Mayor Karen Bass. And speaking of Karen Bass, it's an honor for me to be here tonight as you all honor her. Not only my former congressional colleague, but my mayor as well. Now, Karen is someone who has truly demonstrated an outstanding commitment to bring diverse communities together. Los Angeles is a big city with some 4.9 million residents, where Latinos make up 47% of the population. As a former mayor myself, albeit a very, very small city for a minute, I appreciate the work of local government and the need to bring our communities together. Being mayor of Los Angeles is not an easy job, but on day one, Mayor Bass rolled up her sleeves and got down to the hard work needed to make our city an even better place for all residents of Los Angeles. Given her longstanding leadership in California and now as mayor, it is no surprise that the Latino Leaders Network selected the mayor as this year's recipient of the Antonio Villaraigosa Leadership Award. This honor is awarded to mayors from cities with a significant Latino population who exhibit an outstanding commitment to bringing our diverse communities together. Well, Mayor Bass has done that, and she has done that in every elected office. She has sought to unite Angelenos in a shared vision for our neighborhoods and our communities, a vision that looks to raise the standards in our city for every single neighborhood and community. And while we miss her in the halls of Congress, I know Angelenos are in great hands with Mayor Bass. Mayor Bass, thank you. I'm honored to continue my work alongside you, both as a member of Congress, as a part of the congressional delegation, and we look forward to all that we can accomplish for our city together. Thank you, everybody, and good evening.
You know, I've been in Washington a long time. Washington has been very, very good to me. And it wasn't so long ago, it doesn't seem that it was so long ago, Nanette. Annette came to see me right across the street in my office in Connecticut Avenue. She wanted to be elected to the United States Congress. And she's just another example of someone who got there by working hard and doing well by her constituents. So, Nanette, I couldn't be more proud of you serving as chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. Before we get to our award presentation, I want to have an opportunity to present a special guest from the White House. Tom Perez. Listen to this, please. Listen to this resume. Former local elected official when we first met. United States Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights. He invited me to his office at the Justice Department to share that very office at one time was occupied by J. Edgar Hoover. Tom Perez, former Secretary of the United States Department of Labor, Chairman of the Democratic National Committee, today Senior Advisor and Assistant to the President for Intergovernmental Affairs at the White House, something I know a little bit about, as well as Ruben Barales, who's in the House today too. Tom was honored with our Eagle Leadership Award a decade ago, and his remarks are included in our little book. It's included in your swag bag. Most recently, Tom was honored with the Chairman's Award at our event in New York City last September. Tom Perez is the definition of public service. Tom, please.
Buenas noches. It's such an honor to be here. I've said this once and I'll say it again and I'll say it till the Lord takes me home. If you don't like Mickey Ibarra, it's your damn fault. Periodically you meet a person like that. Mickey, among other things, Mickey, you will always be the gold standard in the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs at the White House. That is the reality. So thank you so much. And that gentleman to your left, I first met when he was on the City Council of LA, and I was serving in local government as well. And to watch Alex rise to where he is now, Senator, your parents taught you well, because his number one rule is the golden rule, and he's lived by it day in and day out. And you've had so many folks that have paved the way. I'm a student of the movement, but when I look at folks like Antonio and others who are here, you are the generals, the founders, and thank you so much for setting that example. I would like to play one game of Jeopardy. I'm actually going to play two with you. Can the first African-American woman to lead a state legislative body in the history of the United States of America? Who is? No, wrong. You didn't say who is. Who is? Karen Bass. I'll tell you, folks, I bring you greetings on behalf of Joe Biden. And if Joe Biden were here, this entire speech would be about Karen Bass. And I couldn't agree more. If you look up servant leader in the dictionary, it's Karen Bass. If you look up primo organizer, it's Karen Bass. I visited now Mayor Bass when I was new in this job, and I have never met with an elected official, and the first thing we did was we went to Skid Row to talk to people experiencing homelessness. And you know what? When the mayor would pull up, they'd roll the window down, you would see folks' eyes light, because she gave them hope. And then our next meeting was with immigrant leaders who were talking about how we're dealing with the migrant crisis. That is Karen Bass, organizer, uniter. My son is about to graduate from the University of Southern California, whose motto is Fight On. Fight On has been Karen's motto throughout her life. Fighting through unspeakable personal tragedy. Fighting to bring black and brown communities together. Understanding that there are so many people who want to divide us. No, we can't help you, because if we help black people, we can't help brown people. That is wrong. You know that. You have led. And that is why I am so proud to be here with you tonight. Madam Chair, thank you again for coming here, and thank you for your leadership on the remarkable Congressional Hispanic Caucus. And Mayor Romero is a rock star, period, end of story. I want to take a few moments to simply build upon something that my mentor, Embajador Salazar, said. He said, not once but twice in his remarks, I come to you with optimism. And I want to tell you, I want to take that to the next level, because there are some who might suggest that that is a naive optimism. I would respectfully assert that it's an optimism born out of experience. Look at what's been going on, folks. Look where we were in 2020 when Joe Biden took over. We were in the throes of a pandemic. We had unemployment through the roof, people dying. We still had deniers who said, don't vaccinate, don't vaccinate. Look at where we are now. Look at where our community is now. Unemployment is 1/2 what it was in January of 2021. You look at housing starts in our community. You look at small business starts, record levels in our community. That's where we have come. We have come a long way, and we didn't do it alone. The president loves meeting mayors because mayors meet the moment. And one of the most important things we need to understand is that progress we've made. And by the way, how many people know a person who does a day trip to Ukraine, spends 6 hours there, and then gets on a train for 7 hours into Poland? How many of y'all know someone who goes a day trip to Israel and then turns around and comes back and has 12 hours worth of meetings the next day. That's a typical week for this president. Tackling challenges, always being there. And I've seen it. And one of the challenges, which is the unfinished business that I leave you with, is an elephant in this room for the nation. And that is recapturing our bipartisan commitment to immigrants. I will leave you with, this is another, who said the following, and I quote, "We lead the world because unique among nations, we draw our people, our strength, from every country and every corner of the world. And by doing so, we continuously renew and enrich our nation while other countries cling to the stale past. Here in America, we breathe life into dreams. We create the future, and the world follows us into tomorrow. Thanks to each wave of new arrivals to this land of opportunity, we're a nation forever young, forever bursting with energy and new ideas, always on the cutting edge, always leading the world into the next frontier. This quality is vital to our future as a nation. If we ever close the door to new Americans, our leadership in the world would soon be lost." Who made this statement? The answer is Ronald Reagan on January 19th, 1989. In 1996, when immigration reform last passed, and I was working for Senator Kennedy, and we needed help from a Republican governor, you know who provided that help? Governor George W. Bush of Texas. I bring this up to remind us that our immigrant roots are bipartisan. The first major piece of immigration legislation passed by a person named Abraham Lincoln in the height of the Know Nothing movement. Our challenge as a group, our challenge as a nation, is to rekindle this spirit of bipartisanship, to understand that your parents who came to this country, but for immigration, we wouldn't have the mayor of Tucson, and our world would be lesser, and our community would be worse off. That's what the unfinished business is. And I applaud the work that Senator Padilla and others are doing. We can do this, folks. There are some who want to weaponize immigrants, and we know who they are, and I won't mention them by name. But you know what? History teaches us that the arc of the moral universe is indeed long, but it bends towards justice. But it never bends on its own. Mayor Bass, let's bend it together. My friends, let's bend it together. We got a lot of work to do, and we got a lot to show for it, and that's why I share Ken Salazar's unrelenting optimism. Let's do this together. Adelante. Gracias.
I love Tom Perez and his energy, his commitment, and optimism. Optimism. There's one more sponsor that I'd like you to take special note, and that is Geico. Geico is our book sponsor. In your swag bag is a copy of Latino Leaders Speak, Personal Stories of Struggle and Triumph. I'm pleased to announce that as a part of our 20th anniversary, we are going to publish with our publisher, Arte Publico Press, at the University of Houston, Volume 2 of Latino Leaders Speak. We have 37 transcripts of keynote addresses delivered at our luncheon series since 2017, when our first book was published. By the way, we're in our third printing of the book that each of you received because of Geico. And I want to thank Max Stephen of Geico, who's with us. Thank you, Mac, and all of the folks that made that possible. We also have a lapel pin. Some call it a medallion. A lapel pin that we offered when you registered. If you missed that, please see registration on your way as you exit. Again, that is just a part of what we want to share with you as we celebrate our 20 years of bringing leaders together. And now for the award presentation. To start, we are pleased to be joined by the first Latino elected to the United States Senate from California. That would be Alex Padilla, 170 years. I'd say 170 years is long enough to wait, wouldn't you? He was honored along with his wife Angela at our Sacramento event most recently, last September. Senator Padilla's history of public service includes, as was mentioned, President of the Los Angeles City Council, member of the California State Senate, as well as Secretary of State of California. Please welcome a public official who makes us proud every day, Alex Padilla, for an honorary tribute.
Put your hands together if you love Mickey Ibarra. I get to both thank Mickey for the generous introduction, but also to thank him for doing what he does best, brings leaders together. Thank you, Mickey, and the entire Latino Leadership Network board and family for bringing us together once again as we honor a tireless champion for my hometown, the city of Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass. And I pinch myself knowing that I share the stage with Representative Barragan, Mayor Romero, Mayor Villaraigosa, and my good friend Tom Perez. Now, before I get into a little bit of the tribute, I do want to do a couple of housekeeping things. Number one, I know it's the U.S. Conference of Mayors this week, and there's a lot of mayors in the audience today. I just want to take a moment to say thank you for your leadership and your service as well. Public service doesn't come without personal sacrifice. And I know the political times that we're living in makes it even more so. So thank you for your service. The other thing I want to make sure is that Mayor Bass knows que estás entre familia. You are amongst family, and it's our joy to celebrate you tonight. Once upon a time served in local government. My career started on the Los Angeles City Council, where I did serve as council president, so I was never a mayor. I was an acting mayor for a few days, but
you did a damn good job.
But as some of you know, I grew up in the proud working class community of Pacoima, California, in that far northeast corner of the city of Los Angeles. And while I'm proud of where I grew up, I'm also honest with myself and others about our community not being immune to a whole lot of challenges. Now, I grew up in the 80s, and we were by means not immune to the drug epidemic and the gang violence that was very pervasive at the time. And when I came home years later from 4 years at MIT, it seemed like the focus and emphasis on gangs and drugs had evolved into an anti-immigrant sentiment that manifested itself into Proposition 187 on the ballot. That was in 1994. In 1996, the voters of California were asked to vote to end affirmative action in the form of Proposition 209. Both of these measures clearly targeting immigrants and communities of color. And so, for me, it was a rude awakening to the real consequences of not having elected leaders who are willing to speak up for our communities or willing to bring people together to solve problems and not divide us. Too many communities at the time fear that they just weren't being heard or respected by people in positions of power. And that concern continues to exist today in far too many communities across the country. But I can say with absolute certainty that when it comes to Mayor Karen Bass, I have never had that fear. I have never had that concern. In fact, I've had the privilege of serving alongside her, not just today, and not just as a U.S. Senator when you were still a member of the House of Representatives, but going back nearly 20 years when I was in the state Senate and you were in the state assembly. I knew I could always just pick up the phone, get Karen on the line if there was an idea or an initiative that would be good for one of our districts or for the whole community of Los Angeles. And I knew that she would always be effective in the other chamber because even at the time, she already represented something bigger than just one constituency. She represented a broad coalition of Angelenos. When she first won her Democratic primary, running for the legislature in March of 2004, the legendary and late labor leader Miguel Contreras had this to say about Karen Bass. He said she represented, quote, a new paradigm of an African American and labor alliance for South Los Angeles. Absolutely. A Los Angeles City Council member and former Speaker of the Assembly and slightly younger Antonio Villaraigosa said at the time that in a multiracial district, quote, we did our homework, Antonio, quote, Karen Bass has been building coalitions for 30 years.
50 years.
Now, this was then it was 30, now it's 50. I know how to do math. So you've heard this recurring theme about coalition building, right? It's true. And in a place as diverse as South Los Angeles, Karen Bass has been putting in the work to bring people together long before she held office. That's what I've most appreciated and respected about you, Karen. That whether as a physician's assistant or as Speaker of the Assembly, as a community organizer, or as a member of Congress, bringing a coalition of communities together to work towards and to make progress, that is her jam. And you can quote me on that. She knows that a rising tide lifts all boats, and from her impressive work throughout her career to her first year plus now as mayor of Los Angeles, that continues to ring true. Anyone paying attention knows she's been an effective leader when it comes to combating the crack cocaine epidemic once upon a time, to expanding affordable housing, to advocating for our foster youth, and so much more. She has always spoken up for underserved and marginalized communities, and that's why we celebrate her this evening. Mayor Bass, I'm honored to call you my mayor, our mayor. Thank you for all that you've done, and congratulations on tonight's well-deserved honor.
Thank you. Well said, Senator Padilla. The Antonio Villaraigosa Leadership Award was first presented in 2012 in Orlando when Mayor Villaraigosa closed his term as president of the United States Conference of Mayors. At that time, we announced the award would be named in his honor to recognize outstanding mayors who are dedicated to bringing their communities together to include us. Mayor Villaraigosa clearly set the gold standard of excellence by which all awardees are measured. And we are thrilled to have him with us once again. Please welcome the 41st Mayor of Los Angeles, Antonio Villaraigosa, to present the award.
You know, the senator, virtually every speaker that came up tonight said something about Mickey that I think resonates with everybody in this room. If there's anybody who brings people together, who unites communities, it's you, Mickey. Let's give Mickey Ibarra a big hand. This award should have been named after him. I happen to be his brother, and he decided to name it after me. Speaking of brothers, I feel compelled to acknowledge my brother Manny Diaz, former president of the Conference of Mayors and mayor of Miami. That little city on the other side of the coast. No, just kidding. And you know, thank you, what you did. You know, are our servers still here? Well, if they're not, let's give them a real big hand, because every one of us come from homes where we're served by ourselves, where we serve. And to be served by them, wherever you are, thank you very much. Muchas gracias a todos. Man, what an honor and a pleasure it is to be here with you all today. I'll tell you something. I grew up in the Chicano movement. I grew up in the civil rights movement. I was 15 years old and helped to start the Black Student Union at my high school, and then United Mexican American Students led the walkouts. I've been involved my entire life in what we call the movement. And Senator, you're trying to dog me for my age a little bit, but nice. And in that time, in this town, in my town, in Los Angeles, there was a woman on the other side of town doing the same thing. She had come from a high school that had gotten a lot more diverse than it was before that generation of young people got there. She was somebody who understood from the very beginning that to whom much is given, much is expected. And her entire life has been a life of service. I know because I watched her over the decades. You see, I know her for now 51 years. 51 years. I'm the older brother. And I'll tell you something. You know, I first met Karen with the Coalition Against Police Abuse. And you know, back then, if you think it's problematic today, just grow up in LA, in the South Side, on the East Side, in the Northeast, in Watts, wherever it was. We came together as a community to take on that issue. And I remember her, and we joked earlier today, actually. You know, I was involved in a Latino organization, Congressman we were both involved there 50 years ago, you know, fighting for immigrant rights. And, you know, I wasn't an immigrant, as you know. My mother, I'm third generation American and Mexican descent, but I saw the way they were treated, and I felt like I had to stand up. And Karen Bass was standing up as well, not just on the Coalition Against Police Abuse, but she was standing up for the notion that, you know, we live together, and everybody talks about how blacks and Latinos are always fighting and everything. And you know what I used to say when I was mayor? We live together. If you live with us too, you'd be fighting. If you were hungry, if you were struggling, if you were discriminated against, and if you were left behind. And this woman understood that from the very beginning. And I'll tell you something, I marveled at her. Because back then, you know, we came kind of in our silos and working in our groups, and sometimes, well, why are you always working with those people? Well, because they're struggling too, and if there's two of us, this is a business of addition and multiplication. I don't know. We should be working together. And you know, when I saw her over the years, and then, you know, kind of lost a little touch, and then saw her again, and you know, anybody who knows LA knows that in South LA, in the poor areas of the city, you have more liquor stores, more of those motels where people work for a living, more of too much in the negative and not enough in the positive. And here was Karen Bass, bringing Latinos and African Americans together, united around the idea, we live here, and we're gonna fight for a stronger, better, cleaner, brighter future for our community. And you know, anybody who watched her back then, you know, just me, looking from the other side of town, just marveled at her ability to do that. At a time when not everybody was doing that, man, let's be honest. And, you know, I'll tell you something. South LA is a better place. LA is a better place. And as some of you know, she went on. She decided, you know, I think I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring. I'm gonna run for assembly. What do you think? I love it. You ought to do it. Goes on to become Speaker of the California State Assembly. And you heard the first, not just in the state, but in the nation. A few years later, and always staying connected to community. This is a community organizer at her heart. And then she goes to Congress. She becomes the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. She becomes a force to be dealt with. She's reaching out. You know, the Congressional Black Caucus, Hispanic Caucus, the Asian American Caucus have always worked together. But I saw under Karen that they were really working together in a way that we need to be united and to stand up and to make a difference. And so I couldn't be prouder. Because see, what's great about this organization, we don't just give this award to Latinos. In fact, probably Latinos aren't as many of them who are mayors, so, you know, not as many of them have received this award. Probably more African Americans have received this award than any group. But what this is about, this award is about, it's about acknowledging together we're stronger. When we work in coalitions, when we struggle together to fight for a better future, all boats rise together. And this woman has been living that her entire life. So I couldn't be prouder, as a former mayor, to have been probably her biggest cheerleader. I went up and down my town and knocked on doors and spoke in a way that said, we need somebody like her right now. Because this country, the world, is so divided and so polarized. We need the uniters. We need the shepherds. And this woman is a shepherd who brings all the flock in. Help me in welcoming everybody. The mayor of Los Angeles, the 65th mayor of Los Angeles, former Speaker of the California State Assembly, former Congress member and chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, and my little sister, everybody, Karen Bass.
You're going to step there and take a picture.
Come on over here.
How did you go from 41 to 65?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I have to tell you, this is very overwhelming. Very overwhelming. It's overwhelming to sit and listen to people talk about you. Those of you that know me know that that's different. I have to say that, Mickey, right after I was sworn in, I went to the luncheon, and that was when we met the first time. And you came to my office with Ruben And you were telling me about this dinner, and you were telling me about the award, and I was like, oh, wow, that's just wonderful, that's just wonderful. And then you told me I was going to be the recipient of the award? And I was like, really? I was taken aback. One, because I had been mayor for about 5 minutes. But two, you explained to me it wasn't about that. It was about a body of work and how I had lived my life. And so I just want to thank you and to thank you so much. I'm very humbled to receive this and knowing all of the people that came before me who have been recipients of this award. So thank you very much. And Nanette, I do miss my colleagues in Congress. I really do, because, you know, when you serve in Congress, you build real relationships, because you live together, really. You know, it's kind of like being in college. You work here during the week and go home on the weekend. And I'm very proud of you and the fact that the caucus has grown to 40 members. And in my time in Congress, I think that's probably double what it was in the 12 years that I served in Congress. So thank you so much, and all the other members of Congress. I know what it means after working all day to come to events. So thank you very much for your words. And Tom, you have to come back again. I'll tell you, there's parts of Skid Row that are a little better now as we've been getting people off the streets. So just really have appreciated knowing you and working with you in your various roles. And then it was very exciting to go to the White House a few months ago and see you right back there, right where you belong, serving in this role. And we look forward to seeing you come back to Los Angeles again very soon. Thank you. And Senator Padilla, what you didn't mention about when you were elected to council, I remember you were the youngest member, I believe, in history to have been elected to council and becoming council president. And Antonio and I were laughing because we remember you on 9/11. We remember what you had to do where you were leading the city because the mayor at the time was actually out of town. And I remember watching you do those press conferences every morning, and I'm sure you would have never imagined that you would have been having to lead the city after a national and an international disaster. But it was an honor to serve with you in Sacramento and to see you move on and go not just directly to the Senate, Secretary of State, change voting in the state of California, where we don't have to worry about voter suppression because everybody has a ballot mailed to them, so you don't even have to leave your house to vote in California, and that was under your leadership. And then to see you ascend to the U.S. Senate, absolutely been an honor watching you on TV and the way you fight the good fight. I know it's tough over there in the Senate, but we're all very, very proud of you. And to my brother from another mother. I love that guy. We have known each other since we were barely out of our teens. And we grew up together. We grew up in a time when collaboration was a part of how we were raised. So we were activists as teenagers, post-civil rights, looking at all of the international struggles going on, the liberation and independent battles in Asia and Africa and Latin America. And we always identified with other people's struggles because we felt like they were struggling overseas, we were here, and we felt the unity in our struggles. And then over time, we watched a lot of people from those struggles come to the United States. I certainly remember the influx of folks from Central America during the independence movements in Central America. And as he mentioned, he was in East LA, I was in South LA. We were really more on the radical side. He didn't say that, as he was in CASA and I was in various organizations, and we were all fighting for social change. But he was the first one of my, group of activists that decided to run for office. And I remember saying to you, Antonio, you're going to run for office? You think they're going to let you do that? I mean, they're going to find out about you, and I'm not sure they're going to really let you do it. He was like, oh, Karen, I can do it. I think it'll be okay. And you did it, and we were like blown away, and he won. And I remember going up and visiting him in Sacramento, especially when he was speaker. And I barely, understood what that role was. And watching you as speaker, actually, I didn't think about it, but I've kind of followed in your footsteps. And serving as speaker during a very tumultuous time. And I remember going back and visiting you, and you telling me that you were going to run for mayor. And I'm like, you're going to run for mayor, Antonio? You're going to be able to do that? And did it? He did. He did it in an amazing way and was an amazing leader. And a lot of what you did as mayor, whether you're talking about transportation, Stephanie Wiggins, who is our CEO from LA Metro. A lot of what I get to cut ribbons about is work that you did as mayor. And I am very excited and honored every time because he laid an incredible path and legacy for the work that you did in LA. So, Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, we should give him a round of applause. And I heard when someone got that award, they looked at that award and they said, oh boy, just what I want, an award with Antonio Villaraigosa's face on it. Didn't you tell me somebody said that? Well, I want you to know that I am glad I have an award with Antonio Villaraigosa's face on it. And I want you to know that in my office, it's going to be right next to an award that I received with Tom Bradley's face on it. Because in the time that we grew up, again, it was in our DNA to unite. And just like he referenced, it's about math. If you look at the demographics in the United States, we are a country that is more and more becoming like the state of California, majority people of color. And if we join forces, nothing can stop us. And that is the basis. That's the basis of our unity now, but the other basis of our unity is our collective history together. And so when I started Community Coalition, it was actually 32 years ago, our focus was really on raising the next generation of leaders. We started it as an African American and Latino organization, and we focused on recruiting high school students because I was a high school student, actually I was a middle school student when I first got involved in politics. First campaign I was involved in, I was in junior high school. I forged my mother's name as a precinct captain for Bobby Kennedy's presidential campaign, and I went out and walked the precincts. But I've always believed, if you look at the civil rights movement, the Black Power movement, the Latino movement, the Asian movement, it's always been led by young people, and I've always believed that it doesn't matter how young you are, you can get involved. So we started by recruiting high school students because I felt like the way to prevent gangs and drug involvement was to get people involved in political activism. And so by now, 32 years later, we've raised a couple of generations. And what we did with the young people was we taught them our history, our collective history. If you look at during the period of enslavement in the United States, where did a lot of enslaved Americans go? They fled to Mexico. They fled to Mexico. And hearing about the oppression that both groups face, it was a no-brainer for African Americans and Latinos to combine forces. And I'm proud to say that a couple of those activists that we recruited when I was first in the organization, and they were 13, 14 years old, now they are part of my staff. Actually, I don't know if the staff that's here knows that. But the Inside Safe, the work that we do on the streets, getting people off the streets, they're not youngsters anymore, they're in their mid-40s. But the whole point was to raise another generation of activists who would understand the point of our unity. And as our country is changing in demographics, there's a lot of people that are uncomfortable around that. And so what we went through during those 4 years of the last administration, we still suffer from the attacks on immigrants. To me, in the future, we will look at this as one of the worst moments in U.S. history. The idea that families would be separated, that children would be taken, and I believe that there are still hundreds of these children that have never found their way back to their parents and will grow up wondering how they got in the United States. Those issues hit at both of us because our legacies are joined together. And I think about the last time there was major immigration reform, which was in the 80s. And we would have those big rallies downtown, and people would come from Chinatown and South LA and East LA because we understood the unity of our struggles. And to me, that's a core part of who I am. It is about always struggling for social and economic change. And to do that, if you really believe in that, then you know that it's not just about who you are as an individual. It's about something that is much bigger and greater than you, and so you want to invest in that next generation because you know that the movement for social change never ends. We make some advances, like we certainly have, and then we have people that try to pull us back. Right now, we're fighting for our collective histories because we have states that are literally trying to make our histories illegal, and it is important that we always fight on behalf of each other. And I will say too, just on a personal note, our unity is very personal to me. Since my children are Latino, my grandchildren are Latino, my late husband was a leader in Mecha, and for those folks that have been around for a while, you might remember La Raza Unida Party. He was in charge of La Raza Unida Party in the San Fernando Valley, probably when you were in elementary school. He was heading it up. And so it is not just political, it is not just professional, it is personal. And I will tell you that receiving this award is very personal to me and means the world. So thank you so much, Mickey. Thank you for all you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Bass. Boy, what a terrific leader. Please give me just 60 seconds. I've got two more things to say. 60 seconds. Who's timing me? One, I want to thank the team that helped put this event together. Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy it? These events don't happen accidentally. A lot of preparation, a lot of great work. So thanks to our team. You see them pictured here on the big screens. Secondly, and lastly, each of you have been provided a calendar card. A calendar card. If you enjoyed the experience this evening, please help us continue through the rest of the year. We have 6 more events. All of our sponsors, all of them, tonight, thank you so much for making tonight possible. I'd like you to think about making tomorrow possible, including an event I'm going to mention because it only happens once every 4 years. You'll see on a card, your calendar card, a convention series. A convention series. We will convene in Milwaukee on July 15th. To honor a worthy Latino leader who happens to be Republican. And we will convene on August 20th in Chicago to honor a Latino leader who happens to be a Democrat. Yeah. We believe that this is a tremendous opportunity that our sponsors can engage in to check both boxes. The fact of the matter is, we need to demonstrate during these conventions this year that it's important to bring us together. And we can demonstrate that, and we have. By the way, this isn't our first rodeo. This will be the 6th iteration during the Democratic National Conventions, 2024. You that aren't sponsoring and are from corporations, how about taking the word back about this opportunity? Michelle Mingus Moore, who's here in the back, come up here. Or Wade. Michelle was the first executive director of Latino Leaders Network. She went off to New York City for bigger fame and fortune and has agreed to assist us in 2024, specifically target on our convention series to help us raise the funds necessary to bring us together. In Chicago, we expect 800 guests, okay? And that's what we're gonna do. Michelle has got material about that opportunity. She can be reached at michelle@latinoleadersnetwork.org. Think about it, okay? With that, thank you for your time and your attention. That closes the 39th Tribute to Mayor.